and today we are going to be pimping out... Where the hell did he go? Huh. What's happening, my fellow geeks and geekettes? Welcome to a brand new episode of Chris's Custom Collectibles, and today we are going to be pimping out... Where the hell did he go? Huh. We are going to be pimping out the Hasbro... Focus. Take 3. We are going to be pimping out the Hasbro Baby Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Firstly, a very big thank you to my good buddy Big Hero Vince, who is an amazing Batfleck cosplayer, Batman cosplayer in general. He actually sent me this Baby Groot figure along with the Star-Lord blaster that I pimped out many months ago. So this is how long I've had this guy for. He's been sitting in storage. I've been meaning to customize him for quite some time. So this weekend, we're finally gonna do it. Now, if you guys are new to the custom collectible formula, it's all about taking toys that have amazing bases and detail and turning them into something quite extraordinary. This is probably a good way to kill some time in the afternoon on the weekend. It's gonna take a couple of hours to do. The methods I'm gonna be using today are very simple to pimp out little Baby Groot here. So it's gonna be a mixture of washes and highlights. I will be filling out the eyes with a gloss black paint. I'm also gonna be adding some model moss to his head here and really detailing it through. In terms of the base, it's going to be something very simple, yet still keeping with the theme of Guardians of the Galaxy. Guys, I know it's been quite some time since I've done a custom collectible, but as you guys have seen, it has been a hectic couple of months in terms of cosplay builds, life in general, so just thought I'd whet your appetite a bit with a nice little quickie custom collectible this weekend, plus I've had a hankering for it myself. Now, our first step before we do anything is it's time to prime. So I'm going to be using a plastic and fiberglass primer. This is the Super Cheap Auto brand. Super Cheap Auto, for those who are abroad and not in Australia, is like our main auto parts store. And so that's where I actually get my filler primers for doing 3D print bodywork and stuff like that. So this is a clear primer because we are going to be utilizing the ready laid out colors on this figure. Now, even before priming, I'm going to give this guy a brush with some isopropyl alcohol that is going to clean everything, get the dust out, get the grease out, because, you know, of course we've got oil and grease on our fingers. It can actually affect the finish of the final product. So, first step, isopropyl alcohol. Next step, primer. Then we get to the good stuff. So with that being said, let's get to it. Alright geeks, before we get started, I just want to apologize for the really shonky audio in this video. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what is going on with my Rode mic. Hell, it could be even doing it right now where there's only audio on one side, especially if you guys are going to be wearing headphones to watch this video. I thought it was a loose jack in the camera itself, but from what I can see, the jack is securely fastened inside the camera. I don't know if my microphone is on the fritz now and I have to buy a new one. So if you guys have had similar problems with your mic, if you have one similar, please drop a comment below, because doing my head in, I can only imagine is doing your head in too. Now that that's out of the way, enjoy the video, guys. Okay, so like I mentioned in the intro, first step is we have to clean this little fella with some isopropyl alcohol just to get rid of any remaining dust, oil, grease, whatever, oils from our fingers, anything that's left over, any schmutz, just so that that primer is going to really stick and bond to the surface of the figure. So I've got some isopropyl alcohol in a spray bottle, which is nice and easy. Just spray it all over. I'm just taking a standard painting brush and just painting it all through, and this stuff kind of evaporates and dries pretty quickly on its own, especially in Groot's face, in amongst all those crevices there. It's really gonna get rid of all that dirt and grime and dust and make this little one all nice, spick and span, ready for us to pimp out. Okay, we're all cleaned, all good to go, ready to prime. So I'm gonna flay the little guy's arms out like so. Got our primer, and just evenly try and coat the whole figure with the can about, 20 to 30 centimeters away from the piece itself. So one final step I'm actually going to do before I start any of the washing process is I'm actually going to take a hairdryer and heat up the little guy's head so it becomes a lot more malleable, and then I'm actually going to pop it off because it is mounted on top of the head here. It kind of suctions over. This is a much softer plastic than the rest of the body, so in theory by heating it up it's actually going to pop off a lot easier, and it's also going to make detailing around up his neck and the collar a lot more easier. Oh, I felt horrible doing that to him. One headless Baby Groot. It's gonna make detailing a lot more easier. That right there looks horrifying. Looks like something you'd see in your worst nightmare. Alright guys, again, I do apologize for the rain audio in the background. It kind of just started to rain, so not much we can do about it. So the first step in detailing this figure is we're gonna do a wash over the entire figure itself. So I've got a mixture of the black acrylic wash from Testers, that's the Creative Effects range, and some brown shoe polish. I've mixed those two together. We're gonna brush it over the entire body, the head itself. So what I'm gonna do is let both pieces entirely dry with the wash on it, and then we're gonna go in with the scour sponge method. Okay, so once the wash has fully dried on the head and the body, we're going to go in with a scour sponge, some piping hot water, and we're going to lightly scrub away the excess wash that is on the outer surfaces of the detail. So theoretically, when we wipe it away, what's left is all the detail in those beautiful crevices all over the sculpt. There you go, you can see that beautiful detail just popping through already. There we go. Look at that, geeks. Just beautiful. These sculpts are so beautiful. This is why this is worthy of a custom collectible. The detail's there, but the paint job's always lacking. You know how it goes. Oh man, that's coming up a treat already. You see right there, just give that nice old crinkled leathery texture. Beautiful. Alright geeks, so after letting everything dry, giving everything a pat down with a towel, I'm very happy how this little tyke is looking right now. The detail is just seriously popping on the suit and on the head, and we haven't even gotten started on the detailing parts yet. So the next step before we go back in and start detailing the suit and putting the moss on his head is we're going to go back in with that primer, because you've got to understand, scouring away all the excess wash with a sponge has probably removed most of the primer. So we're going to go back in, seal it back up with another couple of coats of primer, and then we're going to go in and I'm going to show you guys how we're going to detail this suit. We're going to also add the model moss and re-gloss the eyes a full gloss black. Alright geeks, so the next step is to start detailing the bodysuit and bits of Groot's face, and then eventually move on to getting the model moss and placing that on top of the head. So I've got here the chrome silver, a medium green, we've got a flat black, and we have some gold in a spray can. Reason being I've got the gold in a spray can is I actually ran out of my vial of Model Masters gold, and it's pretty much the same thing except in aerosol form. So as you can see here on the suit, we have certain metallic parts here. We've got the zipper, we've got little buckles, panels, clasps, you name it, everything. We've got this little side insignia piece here on the side of the suit that needs some detailing. So it's just a matter of either dry brushing or going in and detailing and painting over certain parts. I am actually going to go in with a red over this little cord attachment here on the side of his jumpsuit, and then we're pretty much going to call it a day in terms of the bodysuit detail. I'm then also going to go in with the medium green on Groot's head here and on some parts of his feet, especially where there are veins. That's supposed to be green, as if it's like vines coming through his feet, also parts of his hands. Okay, so first up, I'm getting the Model Masters Chrome Silver. I'm going to start highlighting all the metallic pieces of the suit. Now I do realize that there is kind of a rust effect going on with Groot's costume, but highlighting it just brings a whole nother dimension of detail to it, in my opinion. And I have no idea what I'm talking about. Especially down the zipper track, very carefully, says the man with the shaky hand. Okay, so I'm just taking the flat black. I'm just going to start painting some of the straps that, from what I can tell, on the Baby Groot from the film are black. So this strap here that runs around his torso is black. There is a panel here on the shoulder that is also black, and then these little nubs here, I'm going to go back in and highlight them with silver. Alright geeks, I'm very happy with how the detailing process has come along. I actually went ahead and did some extra green shading where Groot's eyebrows are. It just kind of gives a bit more depth and a bit more facial structure to the sculpt overall, so I'm very happy with that. Going in on top of the head, adding some more green parts, some dripping green parts down the back of his head, you name it. So the next step is we're gonna lay some flocking, some model grass flocking in areas where there's moss on the top of his head. Now, this is the packet of the turf that I'm going to be using, so I'm actually just going to be using a very cheap super glue to actually adhere the flocking to the plastic itself. Just try and keep it as subtle as possible. You know, you don't want to go from, you know, stark turf to stark plastic. It's just going to look weird, so you want to try and blend it in as best as you can. And keep in mind that when the turf is laid down on here, I am going to go in with some more washes and blend it back into the brown here. Then after that, I'm going to get some gloss black spray paint, spray it into a palette, and then going to repaint Groot's eyes, so they're nice lovely gloss black again. I'm then going to seal the whole thing up with a sealer, whether it be matte or gloss, probably a matte or a mixture of both. And then going to do the stand, and the base is very simple, geeks. It's actually just going to be like a little wooden crate, but just going to stain it a bit, and then we're going to call it a day. So geeks, I'm very happy with how this is looking. I actually went back in with some of the green Model Masters paint just to blend it back in. I'm actually using a fine grit sandpaper as well, just very lightly sanding it all back into the form, and it just relieves the harshness of the flocking compared to the rest of Groot's head. So I'm going to continue to do that until I find that nice happy medium. Then going to gloss black his lovely eyes, show you guys how to do the base, which is very simple. And like I said, we're done and dusted. This has been a lovely afternoon killing some time. So I'm actually going to give Groot's head itself a spray with a matte sealer before I go onto the gloss eyes. And that's the brand I'm using there, just Preserve It. It's a matte sealer. Now the reason being I'm doing this is obviously we're going to be going in with a gloss black, and if I go in with a gloss black now on his eyes and then clear coat it with a matte sealer, the eyes will go matte. So by doing the matte coat now, we can then do the gloss eyes and still preserve the glossiness of his eyes. Alright geeks, so the final step with Baby Groot before we move on to the base, and I'll show you guys the reveal, is I'm going to use the Preserve It again, but this time on the body itself, not the head. I am going to go back in with the head on a sealer, and that's clear gloss, and I'm actually going to spray this into a cup. I'm going to paint it on top of the head, so it makes sense. Where there's moss, there's going to be, you know, moisture, mildew, all that stuff. So I think just by adding the clear gloss gives a little bit more realism to the entire figure. Like I said, once this step is complete, we're going to move on to the base. It wouldn't be a custom collectible without a base. And like I said, we're going for simplicity this time around. We don't want to deter away from the beautifulness that is Baby Groot. So I picked this up from Bunnings Warehouse. I have actually never seen these before. These are brand new. They're like, you know, wooden pallet crates. And I just thought it'd be perfect to kind of go with the ship spaceship theme of Guardians of the Galaxy and Baby Groot and the Guardians themselves. So all there is left to do is some general staining with probably the tester's wash, some shoe polish here and there, and honestly, that's it. I know it's not much, but it's better than nothing. It gives Groot something to stand on. It's something, you know, rustic, and I think it's just really going to keep with the theme. And it's cheap, effective, does the trick. So thanks very much for watching, guys. As always, Groot is available for purchase on my Etsy store, but we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Not only is Groot going to be available for purchase, but I'm also going to throw in the Star-Lord blaster. Now, seeing as though these were donated by my good mate Vince, all the proceeds for this sale are actually going to be donated to Beyond Blue. This is an Australian charity that specializes in depression and anxiety. So like I said, all the proceeds from that sale on the Etsy page for Groot and the Star-Lord blaster will be donated directly to Beyond Blue. I had a blast doing this guy up. Not much required, just some little paints and washes here and there. Nice little simple base. It's gonna make for a nice display piece for a Guardians or Marvel or comic book collection in general. Guys, wherever you are in the world, have yourselves a cracker of a day. I hope you're well, hope you're happy, be merry, be silly, and until next time, geeks, please always remember, cosplayers do it best.